May be seated. Well, I am so glad that you are here this morning. And I just want to say this too. So we've been talking for a little while now, a presence-driven church. We want his presence. And one of the things, though, about a presence-driven church, I heard this about a month ago that kind of really stood out to me. But a presence-driven, spirit-filled church, a lot of times there's two major faults they operate in. One is they don't know how to rest, and two is they don't handle money well. They are 1 week away from going bankrupt because everything is on faith, you know? And that's not how God has called us to operate. And so I'm excited that you're here today to learn and grow from a friend of mine that we just got to know each other not too long ago. And so I'm so glad that he and his wife has made his way up here. It was different bringing him up because I just want to make sure you guys know this. He is only here to serve you. He covered all of his own expenses to come. So I was like, I don't even know what flight he's on. I don't know what hotel he's staying in. We did absolutely nothing on that. And it's just a tremendous blessing for him to literally just come, and he is here to serve. And so I want you to give him a big round of applause, and it is all yours.
Man, that was awesome. I'll let you do that again. No. First of all, thank you. Thank you for coming and being here. But I have to begin by apologizing. I am sorry. I'm not the late guy. I'm not the person that, makes you wait and so I can have a grand entrance. No. I don't operate. I have to get here early and have some coffee and relax and catch my breath and get my mind and my thoughts together. So I've done none of that. So you're in trouble, So I'm going to have to, I'll be drinking a lot of coffee while I'm up here. And thank Pastor Justin, Tara, where are you? Oh, hi, way back there. For this is a step of faith, honestly. They've heard me speak one time. And so this is a huge step of faith. And I want to thank my wife for coming with me. My wife is born and raised in South America, in the deep rainforest of Peru. It's a large city, but it's in the rainforest. When I'm teasing her, I call it the jungle. But to be polite, it's the rainforest, and it is hot there, trust me. It is humid there, trust me. And you wake up in the morning and you step outside and you go, oh, no, I'm going back in. And we live in West Texas, Midland, Texas. How many of you have ever in your life heard of Midland? Oh, I'm surprised. Now, Billy Bob Thornton must be on a campaign to help advertise, because years ago he did a movie, Friday Night Lights, about Friday night football in Texas. And that was in Odessa, but Midland and Odessa are side by side. We're like 15 minutes apart. We really are just one big community. And now he's doing a TV series. How many of you have seen Landman? Okay, that's in Midland, Texas. So now I go places and people have actually heard of Midland. Midland and Odessa each have 150,000 people. So together we're 350,000, something like that. Not big, not small. We have an airport, thank the Lord. And we are thrilled to be here and really glad that all of you, this is just a great turnout for a brisk Saturday morning. I woke up, looked off the Weather Channel, it was 8 degrees. Now, this is a shock for us, okay? 8 degrees, tropical weather for you. You're here. I'm glad you're here. Okay. God must have done something here. So I'm glad you're here. You keep me on target now. And, feels like -2. I'm going to send that to my kids. They're going to just laugh and laugh and laugh at us for being here. But thank you for being here with us today. Pastor's already said it. Now, I know why I'm here, but I don't know why you're here. Okay, you got up early, you drove in the cold, and, we had to do something. One of the reasons that we're late is, we're staying at a hotel, we have a rent car, walked outside, and I got in the car and I go, I can't see. I said, honey, we're just going to have to sit here for a while because until this frost or whatever melts off, we can't drive, right? We can't drive for a while. That's one reason that we're late. We just had to sit there and go, Okay. Why are you here? Just have fun with me, okay? Just have fun with me. Why are you here this morning? Anybody want to just give me something crazy, okay? Be funny. Free coffee. Let's hear it for free coffee. Yay. Yeah. Oh, now there's a faithful person. The church doors are open, so I'm going to be there. God bless you for that. What else? Why are you here? Oh. FOMO. Fear of missing out. I got it, yeah. Well, I need some more coffee, okay? Mind, eyes, ears, they're all connected and driven by caffeine, yes. Why are you here? Somebody else volunteer. Have fun with me, okay?
And we say that everything is his, our business, our homes, everything that we own. And it's just been in the last, I don't know, really, maybe even the last year that I've realized that I haven't been really doing a good job talking to him about how I should spend my money. And so,
Can you repeat what you first said? I want to make sure everybody heard that about it. Took me till I was in my mid-30s.
Yeah, I'm a business owner, and it took me till my mid-30s until I really understood how to manage money and how to use it. And I still wouldn't say I'm really good at it, but it at least I knew how to manage it, use it, and have it work, for me, and building the business. But then, instead of asking the Lord to jump in and help me, it's going to him first. And I'm just at that doorstep right now.
Hey, that was awesome. Okay, give him a hand. Okay, that was really good. And I want to add, if you learned how to manage money in your mid-30s, you were way ahead of me. I'm in my mid-30s, and I'm still going. Okay, why am I here? Can I tell you that? Why am I here? Well, I'm not here for your money, so relax. I'm not a preacher. I'm not a pastor. I'm not an evangelist. I'm not a missionary. I'm not raising money. I have nothing to sell. I have no way for you to sign up for anything, okay? So this weekend is not going to cost you or the church any money whatsoever, okay? And if you spent money on snacks and coffee, we'll pay for that. I don't care, because I'm not here for you to spend money. I'm here for me to spend money. And see, this gives me a tremendous luxury This is not going to cost you anything, and my job is to make sure you get your money's worth. You're a lot of help. Now, to be serious, and I won't stay serious very long, to be serious, my wife and I own multiple businesses, and God has taught us how to use money for the kingdom of God. To help build we're very involved in our local church. I don't hold any official position. I'm not on the board, or I don't teach a class regularly, although they have me come speak sometimes. Our job, our desire, our mission is we want to invest ourselves in you this weekend, in this church, in your family, so that the church and the kingdom of God can grow and expand in ways it would not grow and expand otherwise. We're here to invest in you. And that's why I'm willing to spend my own money. If somebody here receives something that helps them, then it's worth the trip. If this church is blessed, it's worth the trip. Now, I like to tell people, why am I here? Well, I don't know. I'm bored. You know, we have 6 children and 7 grandchildren. We own, operate, manage 13 or 14 different actual physical businesses, you know, with buildings and offices and other forms of investment strategies, things I have learned. Now, I was not born into money or wealth. My dad was a high school teacher. My brother and I, we shared a bedroom. We had a 2-bedroom house our whole life. Not only were my parents unable to, help me buy a car when I was 16, my parents never were able to buy me a bicycle. When I was about 12 years old, I went to the Western Auto, which that really doesn't exist anymore, but negotiated with the owner of a Western Auto store that I would buy my own bicycle. And the only way I remember that is that when I got out of college, I came back to my hometown and lived and worked in my hometown. He had retired by this point. I would see him in the coffee shop, and he would, every time I saw him, he would tell me this story. Kurt, old people repeat themselves. And they forget that they told you this yesterday. So he told me the same story every time I saw him, and because he was just so proud of the fact that because I had $15 and the bicycle cost $40. And without my parents' knowledge, I guess I was born an entrepreneur. I don't know, because at 12, maybe 10, I don't remember, 10 or 12 years old, I walked in Western Auto with $15 and laid it down, and I said, I want that bicycle right there. And he said, well, Kurt, it costs $40. I said, I get $1 a week allowance for the chores that I do at home. You take my $15, and every Saturday morning, I promise I will walk in here and give you $1 until that bicycle is paid off. He said, let me think about it. What I did not know was he went in the back room and called my parents and said, do you know what your son is doing? And my dad said, no. What's he doing? And his name was Red Forrester, and Red told him. You know what my dad said? Red, do what you want to do, but I am not co-signing. I'm not backing him up. This is on you. Red Forrester took a leap of faith, and he trusted this little 10 or 12-year-old kid. And every Saturday morning, I walked in there with a $1 bill and put it on his counter. And after several weeks, he looked at me and he said, Kurt, you come in every Saturday. I said, don't you want to take this dollar and just this 1 week, go buy how many of you know way back then you could buy a Coke and a hamburger and French fries for, and get change back from your dollar? I said, no, Red, no. I told you I was coming in every Saturday giving you $1, and I'm going to do that until this bicycle is paid for, okay? So I didn't come for money or wealth. And yes, I went to college, and yes, I got degrees, but in college, they teach you how to get a job. But they don't teach you anything about money. They sure don't teach you how to manage money. They just want to give you student loans until you work for the rest of your life, to pay those off. So we want to be a blessing to you, to your family, and to this church. And I believe that this investment that my wife and I make this weekend will be worth it. Will you agree with me on that? All right. So let's have some fun. I will do my best this morning to talk about money, finance, economy, management, investing, okay? I believe that every person, I don't care if you're 18 years old, every person needs to be investing something. It doesn't have to be huge, but investing something, somehow, somewhere. And I'll give you some ideas, okay? But let's talk about money. I enjoy talking about money. I really do. Now let's lay some ground rules. Money can't buy a lot of things. We understand that, right? Money cannot buy love, cannot buy joy, cannot buy peace, cannot buy relationships. And I wish it could, but it cannot buy healing. My son, I have a 42-year-old son in stage 4 cancer for the last several years. I would sell everything that I own. I would pay every penny if money could buy him healing. Now, spend a lot of money on doctors and treatments and a lot of things like that, but it doesn't matter how much money you have. You can't buy healing. Now, I believe that God heals. And we pray every single day. And I've got people all across the nation and in other countries praying for my son. And God is miraculously sustaining him. But he's not healed yet. So there's a lot of things money won't do. But let's flip that upside down. There's a lot of things that nothing will fix except money. Okay, for 17 years, I was on the board of an orphanage in Mexico. I'm still very involved. I'm just not on the board. We buy food and feed about 50 children 3 times a day. How many of you know you can't walk into a grocery store with love and joy and peace and buy food? It takes money. We have to build buildings. We have to pay for electricity. We have to pay the water bill. There are a lot of things that you cannot do unless you have money. Boy, that was good. Write that down. I'm going to say it again. There's a lot of things. What did I just say? Does anybody remember? There are a lot of things you absolutely cannot do without money, unless you have money, okay? Children die every day around the world. The word is called malnutrition, but often it's not lack of food, it's lack of pure drinking water. So we work with the ministry that drills water wells, fresh water wells, in India, Pakistan, and Haiti. It started in Haiti, now it's grown and expanded into these other countries. Now, the great thing about it, now it costs money to drill a water well, but the way we do it, we don't have to buy land for the well. You know how we do it? We find a church. We find a church in these countries. And we drill a water well on the church property. The water is always free to anyone who will come and pump the water. The water is free, but guess what? They have to go to the church. Not inside, but they have to go to the church every day to get clean, safe drinking water. Now, how many of you know that is a tool of evangelism? In Haiti, in India, and in Pakistan. And it gives the church some legitimate authority and influence in that community, but the people are getting water. But you know what? It costs money to drill the water well. You can't do it without money. So every month my wife and I drill a water well in another country, and it keeps children and adults alive. But it also helps spread the gospel. Isn't that wonderful? I think it's wonderful. See, I'm not in charge of this. I don't really do it. I just write it. You know, I tell these people, I have the easiest job in the world. All I have to do is sign a check. And you guys go ahead and do all the hard work. See, I do the easy part. Okay. Now, so money is important, but let's talk about some myths right now. Mistaken ways of thinking and looking at money. Here's one I've run into in the church. Well, Kurt, God decides who gets rich. A lot of people think that. And if God wanted me to be rich, well, God would make me rich. Well, if God decides who has money, why is the mafia rich and missionaries poor? If God is making that decision, I want to have a long argument with God. You see, the truth is God does not decide. We decide. Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 18. There are 4 or 5 verses I've built my entire life on, and this is one of them. In Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 18, God says that he gives us the ability to get wealth. He gives us the ability. He doesn't make anybody rich. Now, he blesses us, don't misunderstand me. He blesses us. We are blessed, but we have to go to work. Last week, we got back from a 10-day trip in Peru where I spoke at a conference. We were training over 300 pastors. I got back last Monday from Peru, late at night. I worked all day Tuesday. In fact, Tuesday I worked until 8 o'clock in the evening. I worked Wednesday. I worked Thursday. I worked Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I worked Monday. Tuesday I got on a plane, flew to Huntsville, Alabama, because on Wednesday I had 3 meetings with business and professional people, 26 of them, teaching them much of what I'm going to teach you this morning. That was Wednesday. Thursday, I had 3 different Zoom calls training 85 pastors from across the United States. Friday, I got on a plane, flew here today, here tomorrow. Monday, we get to fly back to Texas, and guess what is waiting for me there? Yeah, I like that answer, grandchildren. but, but you know what's really waiting for me there? Work. I'll be working all the time I'm here. I'll be on the phone working. I'll be on the computer working. I travel everywhere with a portable office. I work everywhere I go. I work when I'm in Peru. I'm on the phone. You know, I'm taking calls. I have employees. I have employees. You know what that means? They make me work. I walk in the office. I understand one thing. Every employee here is my boss. Because every one of them walks into my office and says, Kurt, how do I do this? Kurt, what do you want me to do? Kurt, how are we going to fix this? Kurt, I work for them all day long, right? God gives us the ability, but we have to do the work. It takes diligence. It takes perseverance. It takes persistence. It takes wisdom. It takes knowledge. It takes a lot. God won't do any of those things, but He'll give us the ability to do it. Are you with me? Okay. Myth number 1, God decides who gets rich. Wrong. Myth number 2, well, if I get rich, money will change me. Money, here's what I've learned, and I could go through biblical verses, but I'm trying to save some time here. Money doesn't really change people, but it does magnify who they really are. Let me give you some examples. If you are proudful, if you have pride, and you get more money, you're going to get arrogant. It will magnify that. And if you're already arrogant and you get money, you're going to be annoying. If you are greedy and you get more money, you're going to be more greedy. If you are selfish and you get more money, you are going to be more selfish. But you know what? If you are generous and you get money, you're going to be more generous. Money magnifies. It doesn't change, but it actually magnifies and reveals who you really have been all the time. Our story is, yes, okay, I didn't grow up in a church. And I did not hear the simple gospel that Jesus Christ died for my sins, that I could receive Him, that He would forgive me. I never heard any of that until I walked into a church. It's just like this, only about this size. I grew up in a town of 5,000 people, and there was a little Pentecostal church down on the corner that had about 30 senior citizens going there. I'm 14 years old. I walk in the back of that church, and all I could see in front of me was a sea of blue hair, gray hair, and no hair. And I'm 14 years old. It's 1970. I am a wannabe hippie. You've seen that in movies, right? I walk in. I have bell-bottom jeans, platform shoes, 4-inch soles, 6-inch heels, a tie-dye T-shirt, a leather necklace with a 6-inch tall peace symbol. Now, could you imagine what these 80-year-old Pentecostal blue hairs thought of me? I sat on the back row at the end of the service. The minister gave an invitation to receive Jesus Christ. I don't know what I'm doing, but something inside says, yeah. So I walked down from the back row all the way to the front. Back in those days, we had these benches on the floor called altars. Is that what they called them? Altars down front. And the pastor asked me if I wanted to pray the sinner's prayer. Yes, I did. And then all 30 of those gray hairs came and gathered around me. And the old-time Pentecostals, they had to lay hands on you. And not only did they have to lay hands on you, they had to shake while they were doing it. Okay, I'd never even been to a Baptist church, okay? I don't have a clue. And all 30 of these people, if they couldn't shake me, they would shake the person who was shaking me. And they're all praying, and you know, most of them were speaking in tongues, and trust me, I did not know what was happening at that point. All I know is I'm standing here, and there's like dozens of hands on me, and they're all doing this, and I'm doing this. You know, it's a miracle I ever went back to that church. It is a miracle. In fact, I ran home that night. I ran in the back door of the house to the den where my mom and dad were watching television, and I was jumping up and down. I was so excited because I didn't know anything up here, but I knew a whole lot right here. I knew God had touched my heart and changed me. And I ran into my house and I said, Mom, Dad, guess what? I got saved. And they looked up. Saved from what? I didn't know. No one told me what I was saved from. They just said, you got saved. I'm saved. Saved from what? I don't know. And they said, boy, we don't think you should ever go back to that church again. They actually told me that I could never go to that church again. I was not rebellious, but I rebelled. And I went to church. And my discipleship class lasted 3 minutes. Yeah, that's an exaggeration. The pastor looked at me and said, Kurt, read your Bible every day, go to church. Every time the doors are open, he literally said that. And he said, tithe. What's that? Give 10% of what you make. Well, that was easy for me. I was 14. I didn't make very much. But I started tithing as a teenager because I did have to work. And I continued to tithe. Now, I said money makes you more of what you already are. So over the years, I've watched my tithe. You know, my first full-time job, I made $70 a week. So I watched my tithe go from $7 every Sunday. And I looked at our life right now. Now, I had a career. And some of you know my story, some don't. So I'm not going to lie to you. I'm just not going to tell you everything. I had a career for 37 years, 10 years in one location, 27 years in another location, doing the same thing for 37 years. I never was paid over $70,000 a year. I was not in a high-paying career, but I had a career. But based on what I've learned, and I'm going to share as much as I can with you today, based on what I learned during that time, my maximum highest salary was $70,000 a year. I became a multimillionaire. And my tithe now is more than 3 times more than what I used to make. Okay? I'll just be honest. Last year to our local church, my wife and I gave, I won't give exact numbers, but well over $200,000 to our church last year. That's like, but in addition to that, my wife and I have worked very, very diligently to increase our giving to missions, to orphanages, to drilling water wells, to evangelistic campaigns. I don't have to go preach them, but I support and finance mass evangelism in countries like India and Pakistan. Well, I have friends that call me and say, Kurt, this crusade is going to cost $100,000, and I say, how much do you need? Okay? We have consistently tried to elevate each year, not just the amount of our giving, but the percentage of our giving. Of course, I started at 14 with 10%. My monthly offering back then was $5 a month. I would give $7 tithe every week and $5 a month. That's all I could give. So my encouragement to you is start small, but start. Do something. Because God can bless something. Now, my English grammar is going to be very bad right now. I know it, so you don't have to come and correct my grammar. God can bless anyone doing anything at any time, anywhere. But God can't bless no one doing nothing nowhere. So do something. Even if it's $7 a week and $5 a month, do something. Because I promise you this, God will see your heart. And our desire, my desire, has always been, Lord, I want to be able to give more. And if you will make me able, I will do the giving. So we've gone up from giving 10% of our income to 20% to 30% to 40% to 50%. Last year we gave 60% of our income to the Lord. Now, I'm not trying to get you all to be poor. I'm certainly not trying to make you feel guilty. And to be honest, I speak in meetings with people who make a lot more money than I make. We speak in very high-level meetings sometimes, and I may be the poorest guy in the room. And we dress a certain way, and I wear certain brands of clothes, and we wear a certain amount of jewelry so that we are communicating at a subconscious level with extremely wealthy people. My message is, I'm not trying to make you poor. But I'm trying to get you to give more than you've ever given before so that the kingdom of God can be advanced. Okay? Hope you understand me here. Our goal is to live on 10% of our income and give 90% to the kingdom of God. That's our goal. We're not there. We're at 60. So what I like to teach people is not just increase your giving, but to increase your wealth. Because if we can increase our wealth, then we have increased our ability to give. So I'm not trying to get you to be poor. I want your wealth to increase so that your giving can increase. Does that make sense? Okay, let me try to cover one more thing maybe. People say, well, money is not important. That's a myth. And I hear Christians say that, well, money's not important to me. And I just want to say, well, it's important to that orphan who needs food today. It's important to that village that needs water today. Okay? Do you know what car sickness is? Ever been had car sickness? Yeah. It's when your monthly car payment comes due and you don't have the money. I've had that car sickness. And before we take a break, I'm going to say I have made every financial mistake possible. I have purchased cars that I could not make the payments on when I was young. I've run up credit card balances. Now, I'm glad you're all sitting. I've literally run credit cards up over $100,000 that I had to pay off, and I did pay them off. Okay, I've made every mistake. I've been suckered into investment schemes where I lost everything. Yes. I have co-signed for other people. And it's hurt me. Okay? To be honest, I've made every financial mistake, money mistake that there is to make. Been there, I've done that. I have the coffee cup, have the t-shirt, have the ball cap, and I have the scars. So I hope, if anything else, you learn not to make some of these mistakes. And if only that happens, we've accomplished something. If you can learn from the mistakes that I've made. I tell you, it's 10 o'clock, 10:01. Let's take 10 minutes or something like that. I'm going to guzzle some coffee. And please, I'm only going to ask you to really do one thing. Get up and walk around. Because you've been seated for a while and all of your blood has rushed down here, and I want the blood to come back up to here. And so let's all get up, walk around, warm up, get some coffee.
If you are out in the lobby, you can hear my voice if you want to make your way in. I don't know if they can hear me out there. Tell them all to come in, Brett. Tara, can I turn the music off? Or Jay got it? Head out in the lobby. Come on in.
Come in, come in, come in. Did we lose anybody? Okay, all right. That was a joke, supposed to be, but my jokes don't go over sometimes. Okay, let me just brush a couple of things really, really quick that are really, really important. And I'm going to kind of come back to here. And then we'll take the next 45 minutes or so, kind of put a wrap on this segment. We'll take another break. Then I hope at the last segment to get real serious with you about some things, okay? It's important that you know our story. Not just. It's kind of like, yes, Lord, are you calling me home? And you know. Let me just throw some ideas out now. Okay, just kind of machine gun right now. There are only 5 legal ways of becoming a millionaire in the United States. Only 5. And 2 of them do not count. One way of becoming a millionaire is to be a celebrity, a sports figure, movie star, singer, influencer now. But let's just be honest, 99.9% of us are not going to play for the NBA or NFL. Y'all probably have hockey up here. Never understood that. I went to a fight one time and a hockey game broke out. You know. Okay, so being a celebrity is not going to work for most of us. Second thing, you know, if you're a tech genius like Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, now Elon, yeah, I mean, if you've got it, okay, like if your brain is this big and you got that, go for it. I'll encourage you and invest in you, but for 99.9% of us, that's not going to work. So I'm going to give you 3 ways that really will work. Okay, now I am a big believer in Dave Ramsey and what he teaches, financial freedom. I encourage every person to go through his Financial Peace University and whatever he's got going on now. You know, because how many know we all have to learn to act our wage? Too many people are trying to act different. What? Out of wage. Yes. You know, buy cars you can't afford, buy houses you can't afford, buy clothes you can't afford. And I will encourage you. I don't want to condemn anybody because that's why I like to say I've made every mistake there is. Okay, so I'm not here to discourage or scold anybody. I've made all of those mistakes. But if you are buying necessities with a credit card, that means you have already spent your paycheck this week. And so you're going to start spending next week's paycheck this week. Now, only the federal government can get away with that. But that's why the federal government has somewhere around $38 trillion debt. You and I will, they're going to repo everything, okay? So act your wage. It's a process of discipline and discipleship to teach yourself, train yourself, don't spend money that you haven't made yet, and keep saying, well, I'll get a paycheck next week, and I'll get a paycheck. All of America, including people who make a lot of money, live this way. Now, when I talk about living paycheck to paycheck, I'm really thinking like Dave Ramsey and recognizing we all need an emergency fund so that if something happens, God forbid, I lose my job or I quit, and sometimes you have to quit a job. Sometimes what they're asking you to do is either not legal, not moral, or not possible given your life circumstances. Sometimes you have to go find another job. Nothing wrong with that. Sometimes that is the right thing to do. But if you don't have 3 to 6 months saved up in an emergency fund, you are out of options. And I want you to have options. So we have the option of being here because I'm not worried about my bills. The Bible says you cannot serve God and money or mammon. A lot of people want to come and say, what about mammon? I said, mammon is money. Now, you should not serve mammon. You should not serve money. We need to be serving God, right? He is our only Lord. He is the only one that I want to obey. But when I use credit cards a lot in my business because we have credit cards from American Airlines, Southwest, and United. And a lot of times I go to these events and it doesn't even cost me money. Now that's a smart use of credit cards. We take family vacations. And I usually have enough Hilton points or Marriott points and American Airline points that literally we can take family vacations and it not cost us any money. Now that's the right use of credit cards, but I pay these off 2 or 3 times every month. Okay? Now, I don't know if you can see it. Can anybody see this little symbol here at the bottom of this credit card? 2 little circles. And it's actually written right here. Would you read that word at the very bottom?
I don't have my glasses on.
Hey, I feel you. Okay? I feel you here.
Okay. MasterCard.
MasterCard. MasterCard. It is so easy to let this card master your finances. Pastor gets up and says, you know, we have a special project here. We need some money. We have to, hey, you know, if your roof had a hole in it, you know, we have to fix this roof right now. And especially here in Minnesota, your heater goes out. We have to buy a heater this week, okay, folks? Before Sunday, we have to get a new HVAC system in here. And you know what? Strange thing about that HVAC company down on the corner, they won't do it unless we pay them. I don't know what's wrong with these people out there. And we said in church, and we go, I'd really like to give in the offering, but I can't because I have a car payment and I have rent and I have utilities and I have to pay this, at least the minimum payment, because I want to use it again next week because Starbucks needs my money. And we can't give to the church, we can't give to the Lord because money has become our master. You see, money becomes your master. This is kind of strong, I know it, but money is your master when you can't do what God wants you to do because you have bills that you have to pay. I believe when Jesus said you can't serve God and money, it's because money has such a grip on your life and you're so far in debt. You know, the Bible says in Proverbs 22, verse 6, the borrower is a slave or servant to the lender. You see, if we can put ourselves in a position where we have to serve, you know, Chrysler Credit, Ford Motor, and we're serving these other people. I want you to be in a position. Now, I lived very frugally. My story. Years ago, I had 3 children, all attending a private Christian school. It wasn't necessarily a rich school. There were a lot of rich kids there, but there are a lot of people like me who were sacrificing to put my kids through this school. And one way I sacrificed was in the car that I drove and the clothes that I wore. I had an old clunker, and when my grandmother passed away, my dad called me and said, you know, Grandma's had this car in her garage for a long time. Do you want it? And all I could see was, free car, free car. So I took Grandma's old car. Now, the car was old, and it was great. You know, it was an old car, so it was about as long as a boat. A friend of mine would get in my car, and he'd always sing the country song, just give me 40 acres, and I'll turn this rig around. The paint was old, which means it was gone. But it started. And it could get from my house to the school. That's what I thought the purpose of a car was. So I would load up my 3 kids, drive them to this private Christian school, and on the way to school, my kids would beg me. Beg me. I love it when my children beg. Makes me feel like I have some authority here. And they would beg me, say, Dad, stop here, please. Don't drive in front of the school. And I would accommodate them, okay, because I have a little, not much, but I have a little compassion for my own children. And I would stop 3 blocks away from the school at their request. And they would walk to school because they did not want their friends to see the car that I drove. But you see, I knew I was saving $400, $500, $600 a month in payment back then. And 31 years ago, I bought a duplex. I didn't have any money, but I went to the bank. Thankfully, I had good credit. And I went to the bank and I borrowed 100% of the price of that duplex. Now, this will shock you. 31 years ago, I bought an old duplex, no central heat and air, you know, just bare bones, for $25,000. That's 31 years ago. It was an experiment, but I liked it. And so the second year, I bought a second duplex. The third year, I bought a third duplex. Fourth year, I bought a fourth duplex. So after 4 years, I owned 8 rental properties, 8 front doors. And I'm seeing the potential of this. Long story, the next year, I found 4 quadplexes. So 4 times 4 is. So I bought 16 units, added to my 8 units. Now I've got 24 units. At that point, I hired a full-time maintenance person because I had a career, I had a job. And soon after that, I hired a full-time office person. And then I kept adding, because now the snowball is actually working. The money's coming in. I can reinvest more money, and I can, you know, and the snowball just got bigger and bigger and bigger. In the last 31 years, I bought over 200 residences. Okay. Now, that's one reason I'm standing here. That's one reason we can fly in, rent a hotel, rent a car, pay for food, and go back home. A simple decision I made 31 years ago that started. So you can make one decision this next 12 months. You can make one decision that will change the next 30 years of your life. Now remember, you probably don't, I almost forgot, I'm telling you 5 ways to become a millionaire legally. First 2 don't count. Did I give you number 3? I did? What's number 3? Well, okay, yeah. Okay, Dave Ramsey. I'll use that for number 3. Thank you for keeping. Somebody's got to listen to me. Someone has to pay attention when I talk because I'm not. He almost spit his coffee out over there. That was pretty good. I'm proud of that one. Dave Ramsey will teach you to save, not just your emergency fund, but save an investment fund. And you can invest in a variety of things. So the third way to become a millionaire is by saving and investing. Now, if you're going to do that, you're going to have to save every week. You're going to have to save every month. And you're going to have to invest in something that is going to go up in value. Now, I call this paper. Okay, we used to be able to put money in a savings account or CD or money market and actually make some money, but you're not making any money there. And if you got into the stock market in the last 3-4 years and experienced this bull run where, you know, you've got your Mag 7 and your Mega Cap 8 and these things that are just going up through the roof, okay, that's pretty good. But you have to save and invest in something that's going to go up in value. That's 3, okay? The fourth way to become a millionaire is by real estate. And that's my story. I knew nothing about it, and I was not a handyman. And so my point, and I had no money. Okay, I had no money, no experience, and no ability. So if I can do it, you can do it. And the fifth way to become a millionaire is to own your own business. Now, one of my business, okay, I don't own fancy businesses. After real estate, the next thing I started was I started a fence company that failed miserably. I was trying to be a wholesale fence company selling one product that I discovered in another country. I hired a salesman, I put up this display, a traveling display. We'd load up the trailer and the truck and we'd drive around and do different shows and home and garden things and go to fence companies and trying to sell it. And after 6 months, we had sold nothing. And I started to say, well, Dave Ramsey says you got to pay for your education. So I'm just thinking, I'm paying for my education. And I was praying about, okay, I'll just shut this thing down. I only have one employee, a salesperson, and I thought I will hire him in my real estate business. But I prayed for 3 days, and during that time, I really felt like the Lord spoke to my heart. I don't hear God's voice up here, okay? I'm not very spiritual, and I'm not a prophet. But in my heart, I just sensed, no, Kurt, you're supposed to own a fence company. And I did not know what that meant. But I had a building, I had a sign, and I'm trying to be a wholesaler. And I had one salesman, and he's in my one building with my one sign. And 2 men walked in, a father and a son, walked into that building. I was not there. I did not work there. 2 men walked in and said, hey, we're here to apply for a job. And my salesman said, well, what do you do? Said, we build fences. You've got a sign out front says Premier Fence. Salesman didn't know what to do, so he called me. And I said, 2 guys here applied for a job. And I go, what for? Well, they want to build fence. And I said, we don't build fence. I'm a little slow, but all of a sudden, Wait a minute. God said I'm supposed to have a fence company. I said, well, let's build some fence. Said, first of all, where my fence building is, it needs a fence on the back. Have them build a fence. And I went out and looked at it, and I don't know anything about fence. Well, looks okay to me. I mean, didn't fall over last night, so I guess it's good. So, I've got some rental property. Let's have them build some fences behind my rental houses. So they built some fences around and I thought, well, looks good enough for me. So we started a fence company. That was 21 years ago. And we started off, building fences in backyards. And then we started building chain link fences for some businesses and some chain link gates for some businesses. Fast forward, 21 years. Now we build baseball parks, tennis courts, basketball courts. We work for large school systems. We work for the counties around us. We work for the cities around us. And we do a whole lot of work for major oil companies, landman. We do a lot of work for oil companies. And we still build fences in people's backyards, but it's usually ornamental and, more exclusive, a wealthier clientele. If you want to get rich, work for rich people. Work for rich companies. Does this make any sense? Everybody comes to me and says, Kurt, I've read in the Bible that the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the just. I'm the just. I want that wealth. And you think that you're going to pray and God's just going to, mail you a check? How many of you know God has never mailed me a check? Wish he would. I don't know where I'd cash it. God gives me opportunities, not money. When God says he will open doors that no man can close and close doors that no man can open, that means God will give you an opportunity. Do you have the faith and the courage to walk through it? Take a step of faith. You say, but Lord, the water is still there. How are we going to get across it? Take a step of faith. How many of you know the water didn't roll back until they got their feet wet? It's time for some of you to get your feet wet. Step out in it. See what God can do. God's waiting on you to make the next move. And when you make the next move, then God will move on your behalf. The wealth of the wicked is laid up for the just. Yeah, work for it. Rich people want to spend their money. Oil companies want to spend their money. School systems have to spend their money. Cities and counties, the Parks and Recreation Department has to spend their budget or they won't get as much next year. Does that make sense? Do you understand how that works? The Parks and Recreation Department gets so much money this year, and if they don't spend it all, they will not get as much next year. So they want to spend all of that money. I've had major businesses call me and say, Kurt, I want you to start 5 fence jobs, invoice them all in December. Just get started on them in December. You don't have to finish. Just start. And send me an invoice because I got to expense this before the end of the year. I love it. They want to pay me before we are finished. Now that'll give you Holy Ghost shakes. So we went from building little wooden picket backyard fences to baseball fields and all this other stuff, school systems. And that enables us to give. And then to give some more. Okay. Wow, how are we doing here? Where am I at? 5 ways. 5 ways to become a millionaire. First 2 don't count, so what do we have? Save and invest. Real estate. Own your own business. Owning your own business gives you lots of tax advantages. Okay, you can claim a home office. you can claim your mileage. It's all legal. It's all legitimate. The IRS encourages you. One of the great things about real estate is something called depreciation. See, when I buy a rental property, the value of the house is calculated. It's a basis. And for the next 29.5 years, the IRS allows me to depreciate fully the entire cost of the house. So even if that house does not provide positive cash flow, the IRS will pay me. Did anyone hear that? The IRS will pay me the depreciation value, and it's $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a year. Because the IRS wants you to invest in real estate rental properties. Okay? 5 ways to become a millionaire. First 2 do not count, so we got 3. Save and invest in things that go up in value. Okay, we're going to call those assets. Things that you buy that go up in value are called assets. Things that you buy that go down in value and that cost you money every month are called liabilities. You should appreciate, that's a pun, appreciate assets, and you should dislike liabilities. I like cars. I have an investment car. I bought it. I parked it. It's in a garage because I believe it will go up in value. Okay, what is it? Okay, nothing fancy. But I read a couple years ago that Dodge, and I've never really been a Dodge guy, but I read where Dodge was going to stop making 8-cylinder gasoline-powered cars that go fast. And I thought, 5, 10 years from now, there's going to be a lot of people my age that grew up in the 60s and 70s, and we had muscle cars, and we had GTOs and Road Runners and Mustangs and Camaros. We had the best cars ever. I'm sorry for all you young people. We had the best cars ever, and we had the best music ever. It's still popular. My kids listen to Leonard Skinner, not Who-Bop-A-Shop-A-Dop-A-Dop, Say, do you listen to hip-hop? I can't understand it. And I don't want to get into this because I'll offend somebody, but, if it's not music, if there are no musicians, this techno and this bebop, hip-hop, stuff like that. There's not a single musician in the recording. Somebody pushed a button on a computer and went. For me, if you want to call it music, it has to be by a musician playing music. Okay, I'm just having fun. Okay, please just throw this out. And, of course, I've always told my children, it's not a song if nobody is singing. That's not singing, okay? Okay, please delete that. Just cut that out somehow. Okay. There are 4 classes of assets. Only 4. What is an asset? You got the right word. It appreciates or goes up in value. It makes you money. So your goal is to take your income and move it into assets. Let me repeat that. Your goal is to take the money that you have and move it over into assets because the assets will make you money. In America, we take our money and we spend it on liabilities. Liabilities cost us money. Liabilities go down in value. Okay? This will go down in value, right? This will go up in value. Okay? This will go down in value. This ring will go up in value. Make sense? Almost every car will go down in value, so I bought a car that I hope, what did I buy? A Dodge Challenger V8, there's a bunch of other stuff on it. It's orange with black striping on it, with letters and stuff like that. I don't ever drive it. Oh, yeah, I start the engine, I drive it around the block, go get a Coke, bring it back home, park it in the garage. Because I believe in 5 or 10 years there's going to be some old guy like me that, the best thing about that car, not only how fast it goes, and it will go fast. Okay, I'll let my wife drive it once. We take it out on a highway. We're behind a semi. I said, honey, you can pass that semi. Okay, the 60 feet from the back bumper to the front of the semi, the 60 feet, I looked over, because she's passing, like you would normally pass a semi. You push your foot down, and you push your foot down, and your car around the semi. She pushed her foot down. Before we passed the semi, I said, honey, you realize you're going over 100 miles an hour. She went, ah! So she rides with me. Because I believe, and this was 2-3 years ago we bought this, it was the last year Dodge made a gas-powered V8 Hemi engine. And I think in 5 or 10 years from now, there's going to be some old guy like me who wants to hear a car. And let me tell you, it's just fun. I'll bring my friends over to show it, and I'll reach in my pocket, and I'll click that self-starter, and it sounds like a lion. It goes, oh, I love that sound. And then if you're not careful, those tires just start squealing, and spinning and smoking. I love that car. I believe in 5 or 10 years, there's going to be some old guy like me who wants to hear a car and feel a car and just remind you of what cars are supposed to be like. So for me, that car, that's the only car, but that car is an asset. Every other car we have, of course, it's a liability. And I watched a Jewish guy on YouTube or something yesterday, and he said there's one thing that rich Jewish families never do. One thing that rich Jewish families never do. They never buy a brand new car, ever. Doesn't matter how rich they are. Said and he's this Jewish guy with the thing on his head and real long hair coming, long beard, hair everywhere, old guy. Says we never buy a new car. Says you drive a car, you drive it off the lot. Before you get home, you just lost $10,000. He said rich Jewish families, we buy used cars, 2 or 3 years old. He didn't use these words, but he said, we let you Christians blow that $10,000. He didn't say that, but and then after you blow that $10,000, then we buy it for half the price. He said, it does the same thing. Okay. Assets, there's 4 types of assets, 4 classes of assets, things that go up in value. One is, if you're smart, paper assets. Paper assets could be anything that's in a good, high interest bearing account, high interest yielding, and that should be at least 6%. it can be the stock market. And God has blessed me in the stock market. I dabbled in it for years. The 1st of November, I jumped in the stock market. It's already made me $50,000, and I don't invest in the Magnificent Seven, or not many of them. I, by faith, put money into a cancer treatment because my son, okay, here's the true story. My son was trying to get into this very unique, specialized cancer treatment facility. He was trying to get in there. And he actually had an appointment. Now, I pray for my son every day. I believe God's going to heal him, okay? I believe he's going to be completely healed. And I'm praying, and he's asked the whole family to pray that he would be accepted into this treatment. And I'm praying for this, and I don't know why, I just kind of Googled that company. I want to read more about the company and the treatment and the medicine, and I'm just doing research. And then I thought, I want to do something more than pray. And it hit me. Put my money where my faith is, and I invested in that stock. That's not well known. It's not big. It's one medicine has been approved. The rest of it is all experimental. They're not really making money. But in November, about 3 months ago, in November, I invested money into that one company, and since November, it has gone up over 300%. Okay? So that's the first asset type. We call it paper assets. It can be stocks, bonds, things like that. Second asset class, you've already heard about, it's real estate. Because on average, since World War II, real estate in the United States of America has gone up nationwide by 5% every year. Markets vary, there's geography involved, things like that. But on average, real estate goes up 5% a year. Now, if you add to that your depreciation, you're making more than 5%. If you add to that positive income, then it's more than 5%. In real estate investment, you should be realizing somewhere between 8 to 12 to 15%. Okay. And the great thing about real estate, I'm going to have some fun now. Wish I had all my charts and things, but we're just having fun here, okay? If you want to invest $100,000 in the stock market, how much money do you have to have? Really? If you want to invest $100,000 in the stock market, you have to have $100,000 cash? Really? What about a $100,000 rent house? How much money do you have to have? Okay, yeah, if you're going to get a home mortgage and you're going to live there, yeah, you can get in for about 3% on an FHA loan. But typically, if you're going to go to a bank or a lender, they want 20%. Now, there's a lot of ways of getting that 20% because you can do it if you don't have any money. But let's just say you've got $20,000. Okay, so you have $20,000, you go to the bank, you borrow $80,000, you buy a $100,000 rent house. Now, that $100,000 rent house is going to go up on average 5% every year, maybe more. So appreciation is going to make you, what's 5% of $100,000? $5,000. So the appreciation is going to make you $5,000. Not counting any positive cash flow, not counting the depreciation the IRS is going to pay you for. So you have made $5,000, but it's not a $100,000 investment. How much was your investment? 20. You put 20,000 down, but you get the appreciation on the value of the house, not the amount of your investment. Right? So if you invest 20 and you make 5, how much have you made? What's your percentage of growth? 25%. So you're realizing 25% growth plus positive cash flow plus your depreciation. So in reality, you're making not 25%, but maybe 30%, maybe 35%. In the stock market, realistically, over a long period of time, are you going to make 25, 30, 35%? Not realistically, okay? The last few years have been a bull run, been pretty exciting. So I love real estate. I like stock market. But I love real estate when it comes to increasing your net worth. Now, I was a multimillionaire because I owned multiple real estate properties that all went up in value, and something else is going on. What else is going on? You borrowed 80, and you're making payments every month, right? So every month you own a larger percentage of that real estate. So your equity is going up. Okay, so you got your 25% appreciation, you've got your extra from IRS depreciation, you've got extra from positive cash flow, but also you have amortization. Every month you make a payment, so you own more. Your equity goes up. See why I like real estate? And I started with no money, zero money. Okay, after a while I had some money and was able to buy more and more and more, and then start a fence company, and then start a security system company, and start a property maintenance company. But real estate is going to help you explode with rental property. And it can be offices. Okay, I have focused on residential rental because I can always rent a rent house. If I have to, I can drop the rent and I can get somebody in there. But if I own an office or a commercial property, it may sit empty for a while till the right company comes along and wants to rent my office or rent my commercial building. But I can always rent a rent house. So what am I talking about? I hope I'm talking about the 4 classes of assets. First one is what? Paper, stocks, investing. Second one is what? Real estate. Third class of asset we've already talked about is owning a business. If you own a business and you work it right and you have the blessing of God, your business will go up in value. See, my fence company has just, in 21 years, has just exploded. Owning your own business. The fourth, okay, I got 5 minutes. The fourth asset class. Normally, I bring visual demonstrations. But I get tired of checking my visual demonstrations through the TSA, and they x-ray my stuff, and they go, "You come here. We got to look inside this." And I smile and I say, "I know exactly what you're looking for, and I know exactly where it is on my carry-on, inside my briefcase, inside a pouch, inside this pocket." And they look at me and go, "You keep your hands out of here." So I sat there until they dig through all of my stuff and they finally get to it, because I love bringing, okay, the fourth asset class, the fancy word is commodities. Commodities. Commodities are things that you can hold in your hand. For me, commodities are precious metals. Gold, silver, platinum, palladium, copper, things like that. 6 years ago almost, we had something called a pandemic, COVID, whatever you want to call it. I don't ever watch the news, but during the pandemic, I watched the news. And I saw and heard reports the federal government is going to print another $5 trillion today. Trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of brand new dollars were introduced into our economy. If you study the M1, the M2 money levels, right now, 80% of all the dollars in circulation, 80% have been printed since 2020. In other words, there are 5 times as many dollars in circulation today than there were 6 years ago. I'm not very smart, but I know what inflation is. Inflation is when you have too many dollars chasing too few goods and services. That's the definition of inflation. I thought, 6 years ago, I thought, we are going to have some serious inflation. Now, you heard the news, and the news usually talks about metrics like the CPI, where the federal government has a vested interest in keeping that CPI report as low as possibly can. Do you know why? I'll tell you why. Because Social Security checks are tied to the CPI, and they will go up the amount of the CPI. So there's a vested interest in keeping that number low. So we hear 3%, 6%, 8% CPI, and we go, oh, that's bad, but we can live it. But there's another way of looking at things. It's called the Dixie, DXY. It's also called ICE, not associated with Homeland Security. ICE stands for Intercontinental Exchange. It's where all of the countries in the world exchange their money for our money, okay? Swiss francs, okay? British pounds, euros, the Japanese yen, list goes on, where they're buying and selling dollars, and we're buying and selling their money. In the last year, the US dollar has lost between 10 and 12% of its purchasing power around the world. So when we talk about inflation, yeah, we can talk about the CPI, 3, 4, 5%, but we also have to look at the Dixie, the DXY. You can Google all this, okay? And see our dollar has gone down in value. So a dollar bill from a year ago is now worth 90 cents. So 6 years ago, I thought, I need to get as many dollars out of dollars. I need to convert them to an asset. You see, a dollar is a liability if it's always going down in value. A dollar bill in your pocket, in your checking account, in your savings account, a dollar bill is like a melting ice cube. It gets smaller every day. I love our country. This is not an anti-America. I'm very patriotic, and I have been on 5 or 6 continents on this planet. I've never been to Antarctica. Although I may be closer than I ever thought. But I've been on every other continent in the world. And let me tell you what, this is the greatest country on earth. With more freedom. And I'll make you this. If you want to trash America, that's fine. Pick a country. I will pay your way to go there and live there for a year on one condition. You're never allowed back into our country. You think another country is so good, I'll pay your way to live there for a year. And then at the end of the year, I'm going to fly and meet you, and I'm going to say, how is it over here? How's your freedom? Okay? How's the economy? I love this country. I'm not being anti-American. I'm just being realistic and telling you that the dollar bill is, by design, and I can explain that, by design, a melting ice cube. So 6 years ago, I said to myself, you know, I've got some money, and I don't want to lose it. So a dollar bill, a dollar amount, is a liability because it's going to go down in value and cost me money. I need to transfer as much of these dollars into, my choice back then was commodities, gold, especially gold and silver. Back then, I was not giving these public type speaking, but I'm talking to all of my friends. And I'm telling them, if nothing else, go buy a silver coin. 6 years ago, you could buy a 1 ounce silver coin, American Eagle, for $30. And I said, buy one. Every week, every month, every year, whatever you can afford, but buy one. And I'll tell you why I buy one. Because you're going to bring it home, and you're going to lift up your socks, and you're going to throw it down in there. And then at night, when you want to go see a movie or you want to go out and eat, you see, if you save money here, right? You know, you've got these little bank apps here, and you got a checking account, and you got a savings account. Do you know how long it takes you to transfer from your savings account to your checking account? Yeah, about 10 seconds. Yeah. And they go, hey, honey, let's go see a movie tonight. You just spent your savings. You're spending assets. Quit doing that. So I say, buy a 1 ounce silver coin, throw it in your sock drawer, because well, we'd go see a movie, but we don't have the money. Well, I don't want to take this 1 ounce silver coin out and go down to the pawn shop and sell it to somebody. We'll just stay home tonight, okay? Let's turn on Netflix. When you start putting money into commodities, you are much less likely to spend it on something stupid. Most Americans back then could buy a $30 1 ounce silver coin for less than what they spend at, oh, you said it, I didn't this time. On designer coffee. Somebody says, Kurt, you sure are old-fashioned. Yes, it's because I'm old. What do you expect out of me? So why do you wear a suit? I love this story. A little over a year ago, we were invited to a meeting with 300 pastors in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm not a pastor. I don't want to look like a pastor. I don't want to act like a pastor. I don't like pastors, except for a few. Thought I'm going to be with 300 pastors. And I don't want the people in there to think I'm one. And I thought, I know what they're going to be wearing. Okay, sight unseen, I can tell you what a pastor said. They're going to wear blue jeans, and they're probably going to have Nike or some other type of tennis shoe on, and probably a hoodie. Every pastor in America from age 20 to age 60, that's their uniform. And they want to speak on Sunday mornings, you know, with a hoodie or sweatshirt or because they want to be cool. Folks, I can't be cool if I tried. It's not happening. So literally I thought, what can I wear that will make me look like a businessman and not a pastor? A suit. I went out and bought a suit so I don't have to look like a pastor. I walk in the room and people go, who's that guy? He's wearing a suit. Well, he doesn't have any hair. Maybe. No, I'm not a pastor. So I'm trying to look like I'm not a pastor. This is my I'm not a pastor uniform. I'm a business guy, okay? Now, some of you think I look like a mortician. That's a businessman. Oh, I have jokes. I will avoid them. Okay. Getting money out of dollars into commodities. So in 2020, I started buying gold and silver, physical coins, bars, etc. And I like to bring them with me and show them to you because a 1 ounce silver coin, it's fairly large because silver is light, gold is heavy. Gold coins are much smaller because gold is one of the heaviest metals on earth. So it doesn't take a lot of gold to be worth a lot of money. And I love to show this stuff off, but I didn't want to hassle because I'm flying twice and I'm going to have to go through TSA twice this week. Draw a picture. Google it. A 1 ounce silver coin in 2020 was $30. What's a 1 ounce silver coin now? $75, $80? Yeah. In China, they cost a lot more because there was a shortage of actual physical silver. And silver is used in chips, AI chips, EVs, solar batteries, you name it. Okay, there is a shortage of actual physical silver in the world right now. And you're right, in China, they're paying premium way up over spot to get the actual, because you can't build these computers and solar farms and batteries if you don't have physical silver. Now gold, a 1 ounce gold coin, which is smaller, not much bigger than a quarter. Do they still make quarters? You know, they're going to quit making all this stuff. I know. So anyway, $1,800. That was a lot of money, but $1,800. Now, $5,000. Is my wife happy? Yes. Because we continued to invest in commodities because commodities will go up in value. Assets go up in value. Liabilities go down in value. So every time you use your card, credit, debit, write a check, pay cash, every time you spend, ask yourself, am I spending on a liability or am I spending on an asset? Is what I'm buying going to go down in value? Of course, you have to buy food, you have to pay electric. I understand this. But I said it earlier, your goal is to decrease this and increase this. Okay, I'm going to end with one thought, then we're going to take a break. I've gone a little bit long, but I want to get this in here before the break. How many of you own a business, own a family business? Raise your hand real high, okay? How many of you own a business? Even if it's part-time, you own a business, okay? Now, I want everyone in this room, please, please, please indulge me. Raise your hand. Just raise your hand. I'll ask the question. This is a trick, right? You're answering before I ask. Now, just listen carefully. How many of you own a family business? Yeah, keep your hand up. Keep your hand up. You own a family business. You know what it's called? Your family. Your family is a business. Okay, you can put your hands down. I'll explain. I own businesses. Simple, not easy. Simple. What is my responsibility as a business owner? Increase income, decrease expenses, and have something left over. I'll say it again. My job as a business owner, increase income, decrease expenses, and have something left over. That's your family. That's your job. You have a family business. Does your family have income? The husband, the wife, kid, does anybody work? Does anybody have any income? Okay, what is your job? Increase your income. What's your second job? Decrease your expenses. Like I did. Drive the old car. Wear the old clothes. I didn't tell you my clothes story. My son was in the high school gym. He played basketball. He was waiting on me to pick him up. This was before cell phones, so I had to walk inside the gym and say, hey, boy, I'm here. Come on. I walked in the gym. Hey, boy, I'm here. Come on. We walked outside. We got in the car. As soon as I shut my door, my son looked at me and said, don't you ever wear that shirt to this school again. I said, son, I like this shirt. I got it off the clearance rack. He said, there's a reason it was on the clearance rack, Dad. No one in town wanted to buy that shirt. You see, I like the shirt dependent upon the cost of it. I like the $1 shirt a whole lot better than a $10 shirt. What's my job every one of you own a family business. It's called your family. Your family has income, your family has expenses, and your family needs to have something left over that you can invest in commodities. So 4 asset types: paper, real estate, a business, and commodities. And I'm still encouraging you, if you can't do anything else, if you don't know anything else, as often as you can, buy a 1-ounce American Eagle silver coin for around $80. If you can do it once a week, do it. If you can do it once a month, do it. If you can't do it once a month, stop drinking coffee and start buying silver. The money most people spend on coffee, they can buy an $80 silver coin once a month. I did this at a church a few months back. And I get to talking about gold and silver, and one guy I can just see, he's sitting down, but he's jumping up and down. He's just literally jumping up and down. And so at the break, he grabbed me, and I knew he was going to grab me. He was so excited. He said, you know, I started this 40 years ago, and right now a monster box from the U.S. Mint has 50 coins in it. No, excuse me, 500. It's called a monster box. It has 500 coins from the U.S. Mint. He said, I started buying silver when it was like $4 an ounce, $6 an ounce. He says, I have 20 monster boxes. Now, I know the terminology. He didn't have to explain. He said, I have 20 monster boxes. And I'm going, I'm trying to calculate in my mind. Okay, 20 times 500 times 80. So I just patted him on the back, and I said, way to go, man. And he is so happy. Okay, I apologize. It's almost 11:15. Let's take a 10-minute break, come back, and I have to quit at 12, okay? Have to quit at 12, so I'll do that. Let's take a break.
Oh, can you feel it too? All this tension growing stronger. It's just a sign he's getting closer. He's already on the move. Yeah. Oh, the story has been written. Yeah. We all know how it ends. My future has an anchor. My eyes are
Me. Hello. I turned it off. It's on me. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Look at all you guys eating. Y'all know you're going to go to lunch when we leave here, right? Speaking of lunch, I need to hurry. All right, I didn't plan on this. A lot of you have asked me this same question in the break, so let me just try to answer, okay? I didn't plan on going here, but that's fine. I want to help. That's what I said anyway. I'm just here to help. But people have been asking, well, where can I buy it? Where can I buy gold or silver? Okay, I'll answer that question, but first you got to hear my speech. Do you know why more Americans do not invest in gold? I'll tell you why. Your grandparents did not invest in gold, which probably meant your parents didn't, because no one knew anything about it. Now, why did your grandparents not invest in gold, not buy gold? The answer shocked me. I did not know this 6 years ago. It was illegal. It was against the law. With a 10-year prison sentence if your grandparents had gold in their possession, any amount. Why? 1929, stock market crash, early 30s, Great Depression. For all the right reasons, okay, I'm not being critical, but for all the right reasons, the President of the United States, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, by executive edict, okay, Congress did not pass the law, so he did. It's not legal, but he made a law, and he wrote the law. And he enforced the law in 1933 with a 10-year prison sentence and a $10,000 fine and the confiscation of all your personal gold. He made it illegal for any American citizen, for every American citizen, to own gold. They were given 30 days in 1933 to surrender all of their gold to a federal bank where they would buy it with paper money. That remained law from 1933 until 1974 when Gerald Ford was the president. And he wrote an executive order that countered FDR's executive order and made it legal. So 1974 was the first year it was legal to own gold. But the problem was the U.S. Mint was not minting any gold for sale. So it wasn't really easy for Americans to buy gold. The main gold of choice back in the late 70s, early 80s was gold from South Africa, the Kruger Rand. But whether this is manipulated or not, because of the anti-apartheid movement at that time, Americans were kind of scolded for buying Krugerrand gold from South Africa. Now, Ronald Reagan, whether you like him or not, I'm not talking politics, okay? I'm only talking economy, okay? Everybody hear that? I'm not talking politics, I'm only talking economy. But it was a brilliant move. Reagan pushed it through Congress for the United States Mint to actually mint gold coins. Now, thankfully, I'm only talking economics. Thankfully, Ronald Reagan was elected to a second term because in his first term, his first 4 years, he could not get Congress to do that. But in his second term, he pulled out all the stops because he was not up for re-election, and he literally forced Congress to pass a law that gave the United States Mint the freedom to mint gold coins. So if you are buying United States Mint gold coins, they're all from 1986 forward. So from 1933, really, until 1986. Okay, 53 years, it was basically either illegal or impractical for an American citizen to own a single ounce of gold. Therefore, your grandparents didn't invest in gold, your parents didn't invest in gold, and all of a sudden, it's still a relatively small figure of Americans who invest in gold. It is increasing greatly now. But historically, it was a very, very low percentage. That's why. Okay, how many of you know nothing I'm talking about has ever been taught in a high school or college class, okay? That's why we're in the shape we're in. That is why I started, oh, someone's raising their hand. Yes? Question is, since gold and silver have gone up so much in value, is it possible for them to go down in value? Great question. The honest answer has to be yes, it is possible. But I can give you dozens of reasons why. Yeah, there are no straight lines in investment, stock market, anything. There are no straight lines. It's always this, all right? And we had one of these in December, and now we're down to here. Okay. Similar, because it's sentient driven or emotional driven. I wish I had a whole lot of time, but let me just say the last 3 years, as far as silver goes, we have underproduced the amount that is actually being used in manufacturing. Now, gold and silver are different animals. Silver is used in manufacturing. 60% of what is mined out of the ground is used in manufacturing. I've already given you a list of things they use silver for. It's one of the best electricity conduits. That's why it is. Gold, on the other hand, is not so much used, but it's what every central bank in the world is buying to shore up or strengthen their own economy. China is selling U.S. treasuries, replacing it with gold. Poland, which has a tremendous economy, believe it or not, Poland has a strong economy. They already have 550 million tons of gold in their central bank, and they are buying 150 million more right now. They will be the 5th largest owner of gold in the world. Poland. What? We still are, if we believe whole different conspiracy theory. If we believe that the gold that we say is in Fort Knox and in New York in the different depositories, if we believe that gold is there, then we're number one. Okay. But I believe, okay, a good way of putting it is the value of gold has never gone up. It always stays the same. But the value of the dollar continues to go down. So that's why in 6 years' time, gold went from $1,800 to $5,000 because the dollar went down that amount. So I'm going to say gold is, okay, I don't think anybody's ever going to come to me over a 5-year period of time and say, I regret that I bought gold 5 years ago. I don't think that's ever going to happen. Silver, it's, okay, there's a lot of manipulation, and I can go into all this, but there's a lot of manipulation of the price of silver, but the facts are we use more silver in manufacturing than we mine out of the ground. So there's always, supply and demand is always going to be there. The question that came up over the break was, where do I buy it? Okay, I'm not selling it. I didn't bring a box full with me. I'm not trying to make money from you. I'm trying to make money, not from you. Honestly, if you're just getting started, I would find a local pawn shop, coin shop, even a florist. My florist sells 1-ounce silver coins. Typically, you're going to pay, okay, any of you can Google what is spot price today. Typically, a pawn shop, coin shop, or florist will, it's called a premium or upcharge you over a spot as high as 8 or 9%, 9.5%. But that's still not bad. And if you can buy it for less than that, do it. I can give you websites. Okay, I wouldn't buy it off of Facebook. but there are several. Really, a lot of the ones that advertise on television, they're legit, you know. And I can give you the name of the website company that I use because I went there. When I started investing major amounts of money, I thought, I got to see this place. I got to know that this place is real. And that, you know, I'm on the phone and they said, we'll ship it to you. I go, no. I'm coming there. And he said, what? I said, and they told me, Kurt, nobody comes here. Well, after I went there, I found out why. This place is in Austin, Texas, or just outside Austin. There's no signs on the building. It also doubles as the Texas State Depository for the gold and silver that the state of Texas owns. The layers and levels of security will blow your mind. It is tank proof. It is tunnel proof. You cannot go deep enough to tunnel underneath this place to get on the property. They have their own private security, and because it's a state of Texas depository, the state, what do you call them? You know, police, whatever branch they are, the state police, they're all wearing guns and ain't nobody friendly. And I got inside the front door in a room about as big as a bathroom, no counter, nothing like that. And they brought me my box that I had purchased. And from that day forward, I said, I'll let you ship it to me. I believe in you. I believe you guys are the real deal here. Okay. So that's it. Let's see here. Short amount of time. Why do I want you to increase in wealth? Oh, another. I'll take one more question, yes. Okay. I hate to, you know. Yeah, tell them I sent you. The website is, of course, www.usgoldbureau. Bureau, like my last name, is a French word. And you can always tell a French word in English because it has too many letters. Bureau should be spelled B-U-R-O. But it's French, so we got to throw a lot of extra letters, B-U-R-E-A-U. See, the word beautiful comes from French. B-E-A-U. How hard is that to spell? My last name, Bezinque, that's not how we say it. That's how we say it in America, okay, in English. The Q, anytime you see Q-U-E at the end of a word in English, and it sounds like the letter K, you know, you can just chop it off, put K there, it comes from French. Unique, physique, boutique, technique, they're all French words. Okay, my name is French. And just in case you're interested, je m'appelle Besson. Parlez-vous français? Comment vous sapez-vous? Okay? And in Spanish, we say it different in Spanish than we do in English, which is different than we do in French. So I don't know what my name is. Why am I here? Why am I talking about this? I want you to increase your wealth over here. It's called net worth. Net means assets minus liabilities equals net worth. A simpler way of putting that, on one side of the piece of paper, write down what you own. O-W-N, what you own, even if it's not paid for. You write down what you own. House, cars, bank accounts, anything else of value. On the other side of the paper, you write down what you owe. My car is worth right now, if I sold it today, $30,000, and I owe $25,000, so I have a net worth of $5,000 in that car. Same thing with your house. Your house is worth $200,000. You owe $100,000, so you have a net worth of $100,000. So your net worth is everything that you own on one side, everything that you owe on the other side, and the difference is your net worth. I want your net worth to increase. Why? I'll be honest. So that you can help other people and help the church, help the missionaries, and help the kingdom of God. That's my dog in this fight. There is a famous story in the Bible that we've all heard sermons and messages on called the Good Samaritan. You know the story. A man was beaten, abused, left for dead, lying on the side of the road. One religious guy, priest, one religious guy walked by and looked down and said, I've got an appointment in 10 minutes. I better hurry. The second guy walked by and said, well, I see him. He's down there. He sure got it bad, but, man, I don't know what he did to deserve this, but he probably deserved that. And he walked on by. And then a non-Jew from Samaria, see, the guy is probably in the ditch is probably a Jew. We know the priest and the Levite were Jews, and the guy who came back was not a Jew. He was from Samaria. That's why he's called a Samaritan. And he walks by and he sees a guy who's been abused, who's been hurt. He sees probably not his fault. Let me tell you, the world is full of people who have been abused, taken advantage of, and left, and no one cares about them. What did the Good Samaritan do? First of all, he got personally involved. I want you to get personally involved. In November, we sponsored an Operation Hope, and we had pictures, and I don't know if we can get to the pictures or not. Can we do it? Real quick, real super quick, okay? Real super quick. We fed 150 homeless people. This is right beside the church, right downtown Lima, Peru, population 11 million people. New York City only has 8 million. Lima has 11 million. These people are fed by the church 3 times every week, and they're given a bag of groceries. They have no place to live. The majority of these people are born-again believers, but they can't get a job or whatever. They live on the streets, literally, sleep on the streets. Okay, we're not able to provide housing for them all, just be honest, but we can provide food. So they all got a hot meal cooked and prepared right there, and they all got a bag of groceries to get them through 2 more days to the next time we see them. Okay, so we started this event by feeding 150 people. I'm taking the picture. That's why you don't see me. Keep going. Click one. Okay. These are going to be in random order. So we rented this big open area right downtown, okay, surrounded by government buildings. Next one. We assembled a huge stage because we actually had 2 events in the same day here, one for children, one for adults. Next one, let's see what happens. Next one. Okay. This event was we provided free medical care for about 1,500 people. We had medical doctors and nurses there that donate their time. We gave prescription medicines. We gave eyeglasses. We took their blood pressure. We did everything that you can do in this type of environment. Keep going and see each one of those little areas is a different, triage. Each area is a different type. So they get they go through triage, then they get sent to the right department for the medical care that they need, their lungs, their skin, their whatever. Keep going. That we had a waiting area. Several hundred people could sit there while they're waiting for their turn to go around. Keep going. Free glasses, keep going. Free medicine, keep going. Being checked, keep going. Okay. Those pictures are in the very top of that screen. You kind of see a white wall back there. So on the other side, we're setting up for an afternoon children's event. Had 2,000 people, about 1,500 children come to this in one afternoon. If we get a chance to see the video, they all got balloons when they came in, so the kids are all running in playing with balloons. And then they heard a full, incredible presentation of the gospel, which included a lot of people in costumes and outfits and stuff like that. And they heard the gospel, and then afterwards, they were all given a bag of toys free. And this is right at the end of November. This is the kids' event. Keep going. Kids' event, keep going. Backstage. Okay, that's me. I'm the one on the right. And I don't know why they lined up all the kids, 1,500 kids, according to age. And I had the under 3-year-old. So every kid, I'm like on my knees for the next hour and a half, giving a little bit, because I want to get down in their face, and talk to them. And, okay, keep going, keep going, keep going. My wife Cindy in the middle, and this is our youngest daughter who's actually handing the bag, 9-year-old Ava, right there. Keep going. Kids event, that's my daughter. Okay, then at night, this was the most incredible show I've ever been a part of. The band that we had was the music was incredible. Everybody thought they were there for a concert, and they were. It was all praise and worship music. But it was the absolute best singers, best musicians, best concert I've ever been to. It was amazing. And that's me, keep going. Okay, back up. Okay. These are in random order, I apologize. So we had 3,000 people come to the night's event. Had another guest speaker who actually kind of helped us draw the crowd, who's not a preacher. He is a Peruvian famous Michelin-trained chef. Has over 1 million viewers on YouTube. So we say, he's going to come. They're there. Okay? Band, they're there. They draw the crowd. Okay? Now, the Michelin-rated chef has become a good friend of ours. We've done more than one event with him. So he talks about cooking and the chef and the YouTube and all this stuff. But then he gives us testimony of how he gave his life to the Lord. And that sets it up for me. So then I follow him. And my job is real simple. I don't have to preach a long message or anything. I share the gospel in 10 minutes. The simple gospel. Jesus Christ, the Son of God, left heaven, came to earth, born, lived a sinless life, died on the cross. God raised him from the dead, and if we put our faith in him, we can be born again. And then I gave an invitation. If you want to receive Christ, raise your hand. Now, it's dark. I don't know how many hands went up. Hundreds and hundreds of hands went up. But I do know this. We asked them to stay. If you raised your hand and received Christ, stay. Meet with a counselor. Give them your name, your phone number, your email address. And this church followed up on every single one of those. Over 550 people took time to wait in line to talk to a person, to fill out a card and give them their name. Now, this was the very last day of November, 2.5 months ago. Right now, over 200 of those people have already been baptized in water and joined the local church. Go ahead. Give the Lord praise for that. Those numbers I know, okay? Keep going. Keep going. That's just me. Keep going. That's just me. Idea of the stage. Idea of the crowd at night. Keep going. Okay, now the very first thing that morning, before we gave away all the medicine, before the children, before the adults, we gave away 27 wheelchairs in the church. Okay, they don't have the social programs that we have in America. And I tell you what, you want something that will touch your heart more than anything. Okay, this is a young girl, obviously. They're young children, they're teenagers, they're adults, they're elderly, never had a wheelchair in their life. Okay, we go back and do it repeatedly, but this time we gave away 27 wheelchairs, and we screen the people, make sure that they're legitimate, that they're not going to take it and sell it. So we assembled the wheelchairs right there, and then we trained them the simple ways of how to use it, how to clean it, how to maintain it, all that. Keep going. I have no idea what's next. Is that it? Do you have a video? I had 2 videos, so let's just see what they are, okay? These are videos they gave to me, okay? This is a drone video of the night. And see, that's where the medical campaign was behind it. All right? That's it? Okay, great. Isn't that amazing? Now, why am I here? I'm here to tell you that you can do that. If you have a little money, you can do that. Missionaries can't do that. Even the local church we work with in Lima has 3,000 people, but they can't afford this. So we step up and we say, we'll pay for it. All of it. You know what it cost? It's going to shock you. $37,500. Did all of that. Wheelchairs, feeding the homeless, free medical care, children's program, all the toys. And we had to rent the land, we had to rent the stage, the lights, the sound, all that stuff. $37,500. Now I realize not every person can do that. But we're going to do it again and again and again. But you know what? I believe a lot of churches would have 5 people. And if they all gave $8,000, you can do this. So we're planning this in multiple cities. Multiple cities for the years to come. Talk about a boost for a church when in one weekend you can add 500 people, you can baptize 200 people. That's a tremendous boost for a church. So why do I come here? Because I want to encourage you. Now, 10 years ago, I couldn't have done it. So I'm asking you to look long range in your own finances. Start where you are right now. Start where you are right now and build this over here. Because if you will make more, spend less, move over to here, build your assets, your net worth, there will come a time. Maybe 5 years or 10 years, it's okay, fine. 15, 20 years, okay. What if in 20 years from now, you could sponsor an event like you just saw? I'm here to encourage you. Think like that. What can I do in 10 years? What can I do in 20 years? Back to the Good Samaritan. I've got 5 minutes. The Good Samaritan was not a Good Samaritan because he had good intentions. That man needed immediate medical service. That man needed immediate lodging, immediate food, immediate care. What did the Good Samaritan do? Can I just update it to today? He picked that guy up, put him in his car, drove him to the emergency room, checked him in, signed the papers, put his American Express card down and said, I'm going to pay for every test you run today. I'm going to pay for him as long as he needs to stay in the hospital. I want him to have the best care, the best food. I want him to, and if you need more, I'm going to be back next week, and if you need more, I'm bringing more. Can I be really honest? And I don't want to make anybody feel bad. 99% of Americans could not be a good Samaritan because they don't have the money to take care of somebody. We have good intentions. I'm trying to move you from good intentions to having the money to make a difference in the lives of other people. Is that okay? I'm not here to make you feel guilty, because whatever situation you are in right now, you can say, not only am I flat broke, I'm negative broke. I have been there. I started there. I started in that negative broke situation. And I'm not rushing you to change things. You're not going to change it this week, but start this week. Start this week of having a plan to move from here to increase income, decrease expense, have something to move over into the 4 asset classes: paper, stocks, real estate, owning a business, commodities, things that will give you the money to do this. Are you with me? Is that all right? Is that okay? Now, if you're sitting there going, I don't want to do that, okay. Hey, we're still friends. We're still friends. But I believe someone sitting here right now is going to say, you know, that's the call of my heart. And it may be, I want to drill 1 water well. You know what it costs to drill a water well? See, we buy the equipment, we keep the equipment there. Labor is cheap in these countries. An average cost of a water well that saves lives and helps build a church is $1,500. So my friend who actually leads it, my best friend, good friend for 30 years, he leads it, he does it. See, he's the guy that goes to Haiti, India, Pakistan, buys the equipment, hires the people, and gets it done. I'm glad he goes there, and I have the easiest part of this thing. We're in a partnership. I have the easiest part. I write a check. He does all the work. I love it. $1,500. Don't give me the money, but I'll tell you how to give it to him. Okay? We can do things. And you can have a brand new idea. You don't have to do what we're doing. You do what God wants you to do. It can be completely different. But we can make a difference. Are you with me there? Okay. It's 12 o'clock. Straight. See the clock? 12:00. And the red ones are 00:00. I know what that means. Shut up, Kurt. Okay, tomorrow I'm going to speak. It's going to be different. It's going to be different. I'm not going to preach. I'm going to speak. And I'm going to encourage you. But it's kind of just it's kind of where I'm leaving off right here is where we're going to start tomorrow morning. And you guys got 2 services? You didn't tell me that. I got to do this twice tomorrow? Now, the good thing is I'm probably going to say the same thing twice. You know, now, okay, my time ran out. I'm on your time now. Can't do it. See, I can't be cool no matter what. So, okay. What was I going to say? Oh, you've got a beautiful facility, amazing, and it's a great location. Okay, it's a great location. But if you've got 2 services, that tells me 2 things. Number one is you're doing something right. If you got to have 2 services, you guys, and yes, I will applaud the pastors, but I will also applaud you guys. Because, you know, they can't do it without you. See, if you don't come here tomorrow and he's by himself, and his wife's listening to him, that don't work. So they're doing something right, but you guys are doing something right. And so I believe this is a great place for Cindy and I to be. And it's an honor and a privilege for us to be here. But I'm going to say keep doing, keep growing. And, you know, you're probably going to need to expand. See, if you've got 2 services, that tells me you need to be thinking about 2 services are okay. My home church right now, we're having 3 services every Sunday morning. I'm just glad. I get to go to one and then go home. The pastor and the praise team and all the workers in the church, children's church, nursery, they're there all day long. I feel sorry for them, but I'm not going to help them. And so the church, our home church where we attend, we have purchased land because we're landlocked in an old part of this city. We have purchased land, and we're going to start raising money for, a whole new complex out there. And I get to play a role in that because I've done that. I'm going to keep doing that. But no, I'm a business guy, so you know what? I told the pastor, I said, I will host an event at our country club. We have a huge event room, much larger than this, at our country club. And I said, I don't know who they are, but you bring me the top givers of our church, and I will encourage them to give so that we can get a new building. And as a business guy, it's easier for me to do that than to make the pastor raise all the money. I said, you just sit there, pastor, preacher, let me handle. Money's my department. You preach the word, I'll raise the money. Okay? All right. Love you guys. This has been so much fun. For my wife and I, so much fun. Can't wait to see you guys again tomorrow. It's 12:04.
Well, thank you so much, and we're so excited for tomorrow. I will not be in a suit at all, so just so you know. No, I'm the preacher. Amen. If anyone is available to help us get the room back for tomorrow, we'd appreciate it. If not, have a wonderful day, and see you tomorrow.
Come on, sing it over yourself. So I